Hey, what's going on, everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about Phoenix Burn in Pioneer. I'm very excited to bring the list to you. As always, before we hop into the video, let me know in the comment section below once the video is over. Let me know what you think about the deck. Is there any card that I forgot to include? Do you like the deck? What would you change? And as always, if there's any suggestions that you have for upcoming videos, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. So, all right, Phoenix Burn. So, this deck is kind of a combination of what I would say like traditional like mono red aggro burn, as well as the Is It Phoenix decks that are lurking in Pioneer. It's kind of a mix of both of those. I want to say it's kind of like just a Phoenix creature deck, which most of the creatures are Phoenixes, but it's just kind of like an alternative way to play like burn, but it's also very grindy because the Phoenixes keep coming back from the graveyard. It's just a very, very unique take on mono red aggro. So we'll go ahead and hop into it here. And what's also nice is this is kind of a new thing we're doing on the channel. The prices, the approximate prices of the cards are below the cards in American dollars. So if you're interested in picking those up, you kind of have an idea of how much it costs to pick them up. And this is also per card as well. So all right, so our one drops. We're playing 4 Monastery Swiftspear and 4 Phoenix Chick. Obviously, Monastery Swiftspear is a staple for red aggro decks. Phoenix Chick is also a very cool card that sees a decent amount of play in Pioneer and Modern. 1/1 flying haste, can't block. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay red. If you do, return it to the from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking with a +1/+1 counter on it. So definitely a very, very cool card. Even if this card wasn't a Phoenix, we'd maybe almost be playing it anyways just because it's a very good card. So definitely a big fan of Phoenix Chick. And then obviously, what's a red deck without Bone Crusher Giant? Bone Crusher Giant, obviously one of the best red cards in the entire format. Really, there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said about Bone Crusher Giant. We're playing 2 copies of it. So our next slide here is what I would say the meat of the deck. It's most of our Phoenixes. We're playing 4 Blood Feather Phoenix, 2/2 for 2 with flying and can't block. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to an opponent or battle, you may pay a red. If you do, return Blood Feather Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. So definitely a big fan of Blood Feather Phoenix. The card is just sweet. When this card came out in March of the Machine, I thought it was going to be a lot more impactful than it really was, and this is definitely the perfect deck for it. We're also playing 4 Phoenix of Ash, 2/2 for 3 with flying and haste. We can tap 2 in a red and give it pseudo fire breathing, give it +2/+0 until end of turn. Then we can escape it for 2 red out of our graveyard, which means we exile 3 other cards from our graveyard, and it escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it, so it's a little bit bigger the second time around, or the third time around. So Phoenix of Ash, definitely a great card, has actually seen a decent amount of play in Pioneer. It's not a surprise for those who know Phoenixes that it's in the deck. And then obviously, what's a Phoenix deck without Arclight Phoenix? There's nothing I can say about this card that hasn't already been said. I believe it's our first time actually featuring it here on the channel. It's great. The card is just fantastic. We take advantage of it because it's a Phoenix, and we're playing a decent amount of instants and sorceries and ways to fill our graveyard. So obviously we're playing Arclight Phoenix. Why wouldn't we obviously play it? So next 2 slides here is kind of some synergy cards as well as some different burn cards that we're playing. So we're playing 4 Merchant of the Veil. We're not really playing it for the adventure creature side of it. The main reason we're playing it is for the haggle. You may discard a card. If you do draw a card for 1 red, obviously we can pitch our Phoenixes to be able to, we can put Arclight Phoenix in the graveyard, we can pitch our other Phoenixes, and then we can burn them out, and then we can bring them back pretty easily. So Merchant of the Veil, definitely a pretty cool card to be playing in the deck. Then we're also playing 4 Lightning Axe, one of the best discard, filling cards in the entire list, I would say, or in the entire format. Obviously 1 red to deal 5 damage to a creature, and we just have to discard a card. Oh no, we'll discard one of our Phoenixes that's already going to come back anyways. It doesn't even matter. So Lightning Axe, definitely a big fan of this card. Then we're playing 4 Play with Fire. It's just good shock. Obviously we're going to be playing Play with Fire. Definitely a big fan of this card. Again, card that sees a ton of play in Standard, a ton of play in Pioneer. Really enough said. There's nothing I can really say that hasn't already been said once again. So our next slide here, a couple more of our different cards that we're playing. So we're playing 2 Fiery Tempers. Obviously when we're discarding all of our cards, we can lose some potential value from that, but we can also just play Fiery Temper. We can discard it, and it's essentially Lightning Bolt if we're discarding it, because we can just pay a red and deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Definitely a very, very cool card to be playing in the deck. Then we're also playing 4 Cathartic Reunion. 2 mana as initial cost to cast it. We discard 2 cards and draw 3. So obviously We can discard our Fiery Tempers. Oh, we have another red. Boom, we can Zotch our opponent. We can also discard our Phoenixes, which then we can later bring back. Cathartic Reunion overall is just a very, very good card. And this is kind of like a pseudo land for us, but we're also playing 2 Spikefield Hazards. We can play it as a land. We can obviously play it as a 1 red instant, which is also fantastic, which can help bring our Phoenixes, our Arclight Phoenixes back from the yard, or help trigger like our Bloodfeather Phoenixes and get those back from the graveyard as well. Just a good flex card to be playing in the deck overall. So that's our entire main board except for our lands here, and I'm not gonna lie to you, our lands are very, very simple because we are mono red. We're playing 3 Den of the Bugbear, obviously a staple dual manland of the format, and then we're playing 4 Ramunap Ruins. Just gives us a little bit of late game reach that we need sometimes. Sometimes we just need that additional like 2 or 4 damage, and we just sacrifice our deserts and just deal a little bit extra. So definitely a great card. And then rounding out our lands, we're playing 1 Sekenzan, obviously a free channel land to be playing in the deck, and then we're playing 10 Mountains. As the cool land of the day, I decided to play the Theros Beyond Death Mountains in here. I believe we featured them on the channel before, but I really, really like the mountain in this set. I think it's personally the best of all of them. I just really like that purple and the blue that's kind of going on there. Definitely a very, very beautiful piece. So that's our entire main board, but don't go anywhere yet. We still have to talk about the sideboard and some budget options as well. So sideboarding is very, very simple. We're going to need some graveyard hate. Cards like Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern are definitely our best options, especially for mono red. Then obviously we want some extra removal. Cards like Obliterating Bolt, Lithomantic Barrage, and Rending Volley are definitely our best options as well for extra removal. And then I also put Rekindling Phoenix in there. Rekindling Phoenix is another Phoenix that it's not really like a quick aggro card, especially in Pioneer. It's more of just a really good card to bring in against decks that are playing a ton of removal, because obviously when it dies you get an 0/1 totem, and then at your upkeep you sacrifice the totem and bring the Rekindling Phoenix back. So it's just a great card in general to be playing, especially in our Phoenix deck. It's very on theme, but it's also a very good card for our sideboard as well. So last thing we got to talk about is budget options, and this is the first time on this channel so far since we've been doing this. There's really not any budget options. So we can cut the dens. We can cut the Den of the Bugbears. If we cut those, that pretty much brings us down to $50, which for those who have watched the channel a lot, we do a lot of different $50 decks. If we cut the dens, we're at $50 pretty much. The non-budget version of this deck is $65. That's everything as it is right now, 100%. As that's how I'm playing it right now. So essentially, if you're looking for a good budget deck, this is definitely, this technically kind of is a budget deck by itself, which I think is pretty cool. There's some pretty easy cuts you can make too, like, you know, like the Play with Fires, like 4 of them is like $11 or something like that. You like make those Wild Slashes or Shocks, and then that cuts a bunch of your budget, that kind of thing. So you can very easily make this deck even cheaper than it already is, which I had to throw that in there. It's just very, very cool. So, all right, well, that's the end of the video. We definitely flew through this one just because we're playing a lot of different 4evs. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the list? What's your favorite card in the list? Just let me know in the comment section below. This was a very, very cool deck list to do. You know, Phoenixes don't really get featured a lot, especially Arclight Phoenix is like the only one. The other ones are kind of, you know, a lot of people don't really know about them. They're kind of obscure, so it was very cool to be able to feature them in this very sweet deck tech. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.